Hi, Devorah.
Hi, Lily. How are you?
Good, the lovely Devorah Klein. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So, Devorah and I had a bit of a technical issue. Well, I had a bit of a technical issue where I tried recording our Zoom interview and it didn't work. So, this is our take two. So, second time, hopefully, will work out better and hopefully it'll be an even better interview. And I dressed for the occasion. So, that's exciting. Yeah. So thanks again for doing this and for agreeing to this again. Really appreciate it. You look lovely, of course. Love the glasses and I love the lip color, right?
Yeah, now that the lighting's a little different.
Yes, yes, I love it. Love it, love it. So you work for Sushi Blue, as you told me in previous times and conversations.
Yes, I do.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So what's that been like during COVID-19?
Well, the company's basically shut down right now. The chefs were uncomfortable working, and so the company's shut down since
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus.
Right. And you are like a bookkeeper for them?
So I started out working there as a bookkeeper, and then I worked my way up to do more of like management, project management, a little HR, a little management, different
Hmm.
things that need to be done. It's a small company, so
Cool.
each person really matters to get everything done that needs to get done.
Right. So I know that you mentioned last time that Hasidic Hipster Girl like used to do business with you, and I'm a little curious about that, honestly. Can you elaborate? Like we didn't get to it last time, and I am kind of like interested. I know she's not with you anymore, but I am just are you like if you're able to share like what's up with that?
Yeah, so we brought her on board for a short, just kind of mini contract series kind of thing, just to test it out. And yeah, we worked with her for a few months, and she was marketing, working with us.
Marketing.
Uh,
That's like
she wasn't doing the marketing. We just, she was um, advertising our product, so to speak.
right,
I don't know
right.
if that's the right way
Those
to
those
put it.
those advertisers on Instagram, oh my God, they're such hustlers. I see them and wow, like they just post one product and it like the sales go through the roof.
Right,
Like not just her. I think it's cool. Like I guess, I mean, it's definitely a way to do business.
right. Obviously, that's what we were hoping to do. So it was a short contract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool, 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 cool. Yeah, well, it always looked really good when she posted it, and I love Sushi Blue. When I was living in Crown Heights, I would get it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. So do you have a favorite role?
Favorite role? Well, you made me think last time about this, but Main Street roll. It's fish and avocado, and then in nori, and then in rice, and then on top is spicy salmon, I think, and then some green onions and jalapenos or something, and some crunch.
And today you're making me hungry. Today,
Yeah,
like like I'm actually thinking, I'm like, damn, that sounds good.
yeah. Last time
Cool.
we did this was in the night, so
Yeah, last
it
time,
was
like,
after
yeah, okay,
dinner, before
avocado,
going to
whatever.
bed.
Yeah. No, now it sounds like I legitimately want to get like Sushi Blue and when they open. Awesome. So any personal projects that you're doing now during quarantine?
I have a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff that I've started and a lot of things that I've tried, and I want to like kind of maybe like dedicate myself more to maybe doing one or two things instead of like being like, okay, well, there's all these things I want to do and doing all of them in little bits and pieces here and there. I want to feel more like I'm really, giving it a good shot. So maybe like
Mm-hmm.
journaling every day or poetry or taking different online courses. Um,
Mm-hmm. You mentioned last time that you're a poet and how I'm like totally not. Like I said, the only poems I've really written were love poems, and I don't really plan on sharing them with like anyone. If anything, I plan on burning them one day. But yeah, you can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, so I was a big writer more in high school. I was involved with with a literary journal called Bittersweet. I went to public high school, and
Mm.
so we had a group that met. I think we met about once a week, and it was published, I think, twice a year, maybe once a year. And it was just high school students, peers would submit works, different poetry, and as a group we would discuss them, give a constructive criticism or positive feedback, and if we wanted to accept it or not accept it, and eventually, at the end of the year we would publish it, and it was really fun to be involved.
That's awesome. You just totally like said something that I didn't know about you, is that you went to public high school. That's interesting. I had no idea.
Yes, I did
What was
not.
that like?
I did not grow up. I grew up traditional, not religious.
Right, that I knew. I knew that you became religious at a certain point, but I didn't. I thought like I became religious, but I went to Solomon Schechter, which is a conservative, egalitarian, progressive day school. But I didn't know that you actually went to public school. So what was that like?
So I went to a small public school. I mean, it was a public school, but it was small. It was more like, it felt kind of like a private school, and the education there was very good because it was in a more of an upper class neighborhood. So they had, more money to work with, I guess. But I got an excellent secular education. I had, AP classes, honors classes. I had, great peers. I mean, it was not Jewish at all. There's nothing Jewish about it.
You know what? I love that. I'm sorry. As much as I love Judaism, but I love just the open-mindedness, like getting out there and experiencing things that are outside of the Jewish community. So that's awesome. That explains why you're like so worldly and open-minded.
Yeah.
You mentioned your favorite poet before, so can you repeat the name, because I forgot?
His name is Walt Whitman. I mean, that was I used to be into his stuff more when I was like in high school. I mean, I'm not so into like reading poetry a lot these days, but most recently, my most recent favorite poet, her name's Rupi Kaur. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, but she's I think she's first generation American. Her parents are from India, and she writes amazing poetry, really like gut-wrenching stuff that I'm very touched by. I love her poetry, and
that's awesome.
She's a bit of an artist too. She draws in her books and things like that. So I think she's excellent. I'm obsessed with her.
That's awesome. Really cool. I don't really follow poets, but I have a thing for India. That's like my dream. My dream, like childhood dream, is to go to India and like do yoga in the mountains. Wow. I don't know, just something that I want to do. But yeah, if she's Indian, she's probably cool. Anyway, so we spoke about your fascinating comedy journey, which I love hearing again and again. And can you talk about that a little?
Sure. So, hanging out with my friends and, in whatever situations, I'm cracking jokes and saying funny things a lot. And, everyone's like, oh, Devorah, you're so funny. You should, do comedy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's nice. Thanks for the idea. Not going to do it. And then at some point, someone was like, I actually remember the moment it was the Israel Day parade in the summer, like must have been 4 years ago. And we were on the train going back to Brooklyn, I think, after a long day. And we were just sitting around the train, and I was cracking jokes, and we were saying funny things and good, banter and things like that. And one of the people who I was hanging out with, looked at me. She's like, Devorah, you're funny. You need to do comedy. And I'm like, okay, maybe. this time I'll take her advice. Anyway, so I know about this other Jewish comic. Her name is Chani Lisbon. And I messaged her. I said, okay, so, what did you do? How did you get to where you are today? Because she's a stand-up comedian. She does shows. She, performs. She organizes shows, things like that. I've been to several of her shows. They're very good. And so I messaged her on Instagram. I was like, yo, how did you get to where you are today? And she says, oh, I took this class at this place. And I Googled it, and I sent the link, and I said, is this the class? And she says, yeah. And I said, all right, cool. So I go and I log in, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just do it. So I signed in, I put in my credit card information, I swiped it, and the class was that night. And it was crazy that I just kind of dove in. And so it was I think it was a 6 to 10 week course. Every week you come in, you go through, you practice, 5 minutes, 3 minutes going up there and getting critiqued, and questions and answers and practicing and things like that. And the last class is a performance. So, but before that performance, they encourage you to do open mic. So I met a few people there, and we made like a little Facebook chat group, and we would go to different open mics together. It was fun. I got to connect with different people from around the city in Brooklyn and things like that. It was cool to connect with those kind of creative people. And so the last class is a performance. So I performed at Gotham Comedy Club. I believe it was July 2018. It was my first show. And they say you need to bring like 5 people minimum. And I like packed half the room with my show, and I nailed it.
Wow.
I nailed the show. It was amazing. I got off the stage and I was like freaking out, like, and everyone was like cheering for me, and it was amazing. And then from then on, I performed about once a month for the next 6 months. In August, I performed again in Gotham Comedy Club. July, I performed in Gotham Comedy Club. August, I performed in Gotham Comedy Club. I think September, October time, I took a break for the Jewish holidays, and then I performed for a shul and a sukkah for a fundraiser. I performed in another creative, thing. And last time I really performed stand-up comedy was December 2018, I believe. Doesn't mean I can't or I won't get back into it. It's just a matter of writing and being creative and spending that time.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. Wow. I love it. I really love it. Wow. Can I ask, did you perform at the Chavria Creative Farbrengen?
Yeah, I did. Well,
Okay.
It wasn't Farbrengen. I don't know if it was a Farbrengen, but it was like some kind of Chavria Hanukkah performance showcase or something, and I performed.
Right. That's awesome. Wow. Good people.
Yeah.
And wow. And I have to say, by the way, you all mentioned last time that none of this was paid, which is like flipping awesome. It's like pure, really coming from the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Authentic. I love
creative,
it.
Like just expression.
Creative energy.
Yeah.
Love that.
My intention wasn't like to become famous or to become like the next Sarah Silverman, because any Jewish female comic is automatically Sarah Silverman, which is not true.
Right.
So
but I love, like I said this last time as well, that I love that there's so many clever, smart, strong, forward-thinking, funny Jewish women out there. It's just like unbelievable how it's like up and coming, and like everyone is so different and is jam-packed with jokes and creativity and wit and humor, and like it's just like a awesome world to be a part of, and I admire it. I love it. I think it's so cool. Yeah. Very nice. Awesome. So I know that another one of your passions is Chassidus, and that you are, you're very explorative in that area. So can you discuss some of the things that you like about it and your favorite mimer? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. So
cool.
I became religious when I was about a freshman in college, and that was my first time exposed to like learning Chassidus or just Hasidic lifestyle or Chabad or the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Because you became religious through Chabad.
Yes, correct. Cool. Yeah.
Right.
And so that's like my first kind of love when it comes to Jewish philosophy is Chabad Chassidus in particular. Not necessarily Tanya, but different writings and Maimarim and Sichos and Hasidic discourses and things like that from the different Chabad Rebbeim. And what was your question? What's my favorite mimer?
Yeah, because you spoke about that, and I really like that.
Maimarim are much deeper Hasidic discourses than like a Sicha, which is more like a talk. And I love learning Maimarim actually more than even maybe.
Sorry, what'd you say again?
I said I prefer to learn a mimer versus like a sicha if I'm looking to
What's the difference?
Learn and connect. A sicha is more like a talk, and a mimer is more in depth, like really like getting into the nitty gritty and really a deeper perspective on philosophy or Jewish philosophy. And yeah, I connect much more with Maimarim, but my favorite mimer it's called Va'ata Tetzaveh, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave, I think it was around Purim time, and it's based off of a mimer from the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and
is that the Frierdiker Rebbe?
Yes, the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Okay, cool. I know a little bit.
The Rebbe Rayatz. And
Okay.
yeah. Um, yeah, so the mimer is called Va'ata Tetzaveh, and it's about basically that the Jews on Purim finished what they started on by Matan Torah, by the giving of the Torah. Meaning, like, the Torah was given and, like, we started our work, but on Purim was the time when we actually completed the task of receiving the Torah, let's say.
Mm.
And the idea,
Isn't it Shavuos though?
right? Well,
Like
Shavuos is Matan Torah. Shavuos is the time where we receive the Torah.
okay.
But in this case, the idea was that we were, like, very oppressed, and in the time of Mordechai, like, we couldn't even learn Torah in private, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It had to be done in private or whatever, and so people chose to do that. But the time came when we were free, and it was like, we're good to go, and Haman, was whatever. That whole thing was
Mm-hmm.
over, and when that was over, and we still chose to, like, learn Torah no matter what. That's when we finished what we had started by Matan Torah. The phrase is kibu masha kibu kvar. Like, we accepted what we had started, basically. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe brings it into, like, when he said it at the time about, in Russia, the people getting out of Russia, and in Russia they were, it was oppression also. Like, you couldn't learn Torah, like, even if you did, it had to be in a secret place or whatever. Being Jewish had to be very secret because it wasn't part of communism. And when they came to America and they still chose Judaism, that's like a higher level of choice. Meaning,
Right.
if
Mm-hmm.
in the case where you're told you can't do it and you do it, that's different than when you're in a case where you're given, like, all the opportunity. Like, you can choose to do it, you can choose to not do it. But when you choose to do it, it's an even deeper choice, because you're choosing, like, to really, like, actually do it, versus you have the option to do
Mm-hmm.
something else, but you're choosing to do this thing. So it's like a very deep
Right.
um
Yeah. I
choice.
love that concept. I love it.
Yeah,
That's really, really awesome. Very cool.
thank you.
Wow. Yeah. So does any of that, like, Hasidus, like, deep, awesome, mind-blowing, perplexing stuff, does that fuel your creativity and or your comedy or poetry?
It's a good question. I don't necessarily, my comedies, when I was performing it, was very, I think it's called blue comedy, which is, like, very, like, gross and sexual. So I wouldn't say I have so much, Chassidus has so much influence in there, but in my creative writing and my writing in general, not necessarily do I really write so much about Chassidus or incorporate Chassidic concepts in my writing, whether it be comedy
Mm-hmm.
or creative writing or poetry or whatever.
You know what's interesting? I just realized also is that you are a true creative, because you're really you're compartmentalizing, like, your comedy, which is, like, raunchy, and your Hasidus, which is, like, totally not. And
Right.
that is, like, to be able to make this switch regularly is, like, very, very, it takes a lot of skill.
Yeah, I have different aspects of my personality where I can be, like, joking and be very dirty and raunchy, and I have aspects of my personality that's very deep and spiritual, where I'm learning my Marav and talking about halacha, Jewish law, or Jewish philosophy, and
Mm-hmm. Wow.
yeah,
Fascinating.
I have a
You know,
breadth
I
of depth.
don't yeah, for sure. You know that I don't know if it exactly reminds, it's not exactly the same thing, but have you heard of Isadora Duncan?
No.
One of my people. She was a dancer, and I don't exactly remember when she lived, but, like,
Aren't you a dancer
probably
also?
what?
I said, aren't you a dancer also?
Yeah, I'm dance minded, but I love Isadora Duncan. I just think she's just a queen and, like, a legend. And she was a very, like, airy spirit, like, ooh, like, interesting, like dance comes from is like the deepest expression of the soul and all this stuff. And she had also, like, so many interesting sides about her. Like, she was just such an amazing person. It turns out that she like had a very tragic death, like she was one of those who died with a, the scarf, like chopped her head off. And she's not the only one. I apparently, in like, if you study like women's history, this type of death happened to people, and she was
What
one
do
of
you
them.
mean? She committed suicide?
No. Her head got chopped off by a scarf,
How?
like a car. She was like riding a car, and like it got caught, and it got like.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
I feel
awful.
like that's happened. That she's not like. It's interesting because I also did liberal arts in college, and I learned a thing or two about women. I didn't do women's studies. I did Judaic studies, but that was like something that happened, like the tragic death of some of these women,
Wow.
which is very crazy. But other than that, she was like just a very special, influential person, and I feel like she kind of also had like the deep side, but she was crazy sexual and like just crazy creative and like just overall just a awesome human. And I don't know, I mean, it turns out like right before she died, she was more famous for her drinking binges and loud rambunctious rants about life
Mm-hmm.
um than her awesome dancing. But the amount that she's contributed to like modern dance is just like really cool. There's several people in the world who remind me of her today. Not gonna say who, but it's just it's a cool way to live. It's like a very, because I think that being bold and speaking your truth, no matter how crazy it is very admirable. And yeah, regardless of whether it's a deep truth or it's a funny truth or it's like something sexual or raunchy or like even just something stupid like, oh, the sky is blue, whatever is your truth or your perception, to be able to have the guts to say something that's on your mind is okay, because for so many centuries we've been silenced. Like women have been silenced to not even say anything, and that's also kind of been a virtue. So
Yeah, I do feel that, what a time to be alive, coronavirus. um, it's an opportunity, to be honest, to really kind of
hmm
explore different avenues, try something new. But yeah, I mean, in terms of women's
right,
rights, I mean,
definitely.
we definitely have a ways to go.
hmm
Men still say the most ridiculous. I don't know. I read different forums online and about from women, and men still say the most absurd, like how do you get away with that kind of stuff? I mean, whatever.
hmm
I don't need to get started about that. I mean, we could go. I don't
yeah,
go into politics too much, but
right, right, yeah, well, anyway, we could segue to the next question. um let's talk workouts. I know that you are health minded, and you mentioned that was part of the reason to take a step back from comedies, because you wanted to focus on your mental and spiritual and physical health. So part of that is working out. And how do you work out? What do you do?
So basically, it wasn't like a conscious decision that I'm not doing comedy anymore. Could still go back to it. It's not an issue. It's still going to be there. But I just kind of put it on the back burner because I took on to work on my mental, physical, and emotional health. I felt that my comedy was coming from a dark place, and I just needed to like put that on pause and like hold off on that while I kind of work through some other things. I went into therapy. That was amazing. That really helped me a lot. I did cognitive behavioral therapy, and that was a huge life changer for me. I, you know, regained more control of certain aspects of my life, and that really helped me a lot. And I really put in more effort to my health and well-being, just my physical health, which affects my mental and emotional health, and also affecting other ways, my spiritual health, things like that. There's always ways to improve and things like that. So in terms of workouts, um, what I've been doing during coronavirus is making sure to get some kind of physical activity in for about a half hour a day, Sunday through Friday. And so that's 6 days a week. So 3 days, every other day is a different workout. I mean, all I've been doing is just finding videos on YouTube, and I have a whole playlist of all the videos. If you'd like me to share it with you, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I've just been picking up videos online. If it's more of like a cardio strength training kind of day, I type in 30-minute workout, no equipment, high intensity interval training, something like that, or Tabata or dance or whatever, Zumba, I don't know. And I do a 30-minute workout. I make sure to, sweat a little bit, and then take a shower, then I eat something, whatever, usually in the morning. Or
Mm-hmm.
I do either like a 30-minute more like a 30-minute more like intense sweating thing, or a 45-minute yoga flexibility type of class. And I just kind of Google it and try different ones, and whatever, and then I just add it to my quarantine workout playlist.
That's a good one.
That's been helping. That's been a huge contributor to my physical and my mental health. Is just working out and moving my body at least once a day, like really forcing myself to do it.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to do that also, and I kind of want to give a shout out to my friend Sherelle if she's watching. Yesterday, I promised her that we'd work out together, and we did the Strong by Zumba. I don't know if you found it, Strong by Zumba. It's on YouTube. Just type in Zumba workout, and it's one of the first options that comes up for me, at least. And I had one of those days yesterday where I was like lazy. I was like, I just want to chill in bed and watch Netflix and not really do much schoolwork, whatever it was. But no, I promised Sherelle that I was going to work out, and I did it. And I'm really proud, and I'm proud of her too, because
It's amazing.
we both agreed.
It's so important.
We said it.
Feel
Yeah, I didn't want to let her down, and I think like it worked for both of us. So like we set that time, and I really didn't want to let her down, and like I wasn't like, I feel like I didn't want to be a cop out. Like I'm like, oh, I'm too tired. Can we do it? Like that to me is like, you know what? Like, do you have those days where you feel like, oh, like I don't want to do this? Like, how do you find
Absolutely.
But how do you find
every day when I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's a cardio day. I don't want to do it. I get scared.
But how do you find right? But how do you find the motivation, or like the like even higher thinking to be like, no, this is something important? Like how do you make that switch? How?
Yeah. So what I do is I just make sure to just put on my workout clothes regardless. I wake up in the morning and I just throw them on, and then I do a couple things, and then I pick a video and I go.
That's awesome. You know what I love is that you're competing against yourself. Like you're doing this for you. For me, it was it was amazing, but I did it for another person. I was like, no, I can't disappoint. And it should be for people. It should come like, you should compare yourself to yourself. You should be able to do it for yourself. As much as, it is. No, I 110%. I do believe, like, let's say someone is in recovery for a drug addiction, God forbid, and they want to get better for their kids, like something outside themselves. Like, I do think that that's almost as powerful as doing it for themselves. I think it's actually, yeah. So I don't know how that is reconciled. I'm not a therapist, but how do you what do you think about that?
I think that's the best thing, is to compete against yourself. What did I do yesterday that I could, what's one thing that I could do today? If I could compare yesterday and today, what's one thing where I would feel like I'm making progress? When this whole corona virus started, I hopped on a whole thing. I made myself a whole list of ideas of things to do, and I was slowly trying different things. And at some point I'm just like, oh, I don't want to feeling like, we had Pesach, and that was, something, and now Pesach's over, and it's like, okay, Corona's still going on. And it's like trying to just do different things to stay active, and just get out of
It's great that you're finding these, right. these workout videos are awesome. Do you do belly dancing videos? I love that.
No, I don't.
Oh
I
God,
take
I love
belly
it.
classes. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you taken one?
I mean, before Corona. Yeah.
That's yeah, very cool. Very nice, very nice. So yeah. Any plans for after coronavirus?
Haircut.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Eyebrows,
I
nails.
gotta get my eyebrows done, girl. My eyebrows are so not on fleek. I
No
was
work.
trying to, I was trying to tweeze them, and like
So
my
hard.
tweezers are like totally messed up. Like I can't even like grip. I think my eyebrows are so like the hair that's growing in is like so attached to the skin that I can't even tweeze it out. That's what's happening during Corona. It's never happened before. But yeah, I also would love to finally do some that eyebrow stuff, eyebrow haircut stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Cool. What?
I said I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. And really, I said this before and I'll say it again and I'll say it so many more times, as many times as I have to. I do think that you're such a strong, capable, inspirational woman and you have so much to offer. And I wish you the best of luck with everything that you decide to do. Make everything you touch turn to gold. And I just wish you the best in the future. And thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.